So, according to the Pentagon, 24 U.S. airstrikes carried out during the last 10 months killed 64 civilians in both Iraq and Syria. However, U.S. Defense Department said all necessary measures were taken to prevent collateral damage. Here's RT's Caleb Maupin with more.
Well, the report delivered by Pentagon officials described the fact that 64 non-combatant civilians were killed in U.S. airstrikes in Iraq and Syria between November 20th of 2015 and September 10th of this year. Now, the report went on to describe how the United States has actually conducted over 12,000 airstrikes during this time span against ISIL in both Iraq and Syria, and that these airstrikes conducted by the United States have cost the U.S. taxpayers, according to the report, roughly $9.3 billion. Now, furthermore, the report did go on to say that all the airstrikes were conducted in compliance with international law. Now, it is interesting to note that this first admission of civilian deaths in the anti-ISIL airstrikes campaign was released very quietly as the U.S. public was reacting to the recent presidential vote.
All right, to discuss this more, I'm now joined by Abayomi Azikiwe, editor of the Pan-African Newswire Live. Thank you very much for being with us here on RT International, as always. So I guess if we get right down to it, the Pentagon basically confirmed that 24 airstrikes were carried out during the last 10 months, and it killed 64 civilians. What do you make of the death toll during this particular time frame?
Well, it's probably a lot more. The fact that they've admitted to anywhere between 24 to 60 plus deaths in both Iraq as well as Syria indicates that they are not precise in their targeting of the Islamic State. They just backed an offensive against Raqqa in northeastern Syria. And of course, they have been carrying out these airstrikes in Iraq as well as in Syria now for several months. Over the last 2 years, they've admitted to carrying out over 12,000 airstrikes in both countries. So this war is not receding. In fact, it is escalating.
So the timing is kind of interesting, and you know, the temptation is to read a lot into it, but maybe a midweek Friday news dump, if you will, considering the fact that we get this right on the heels of the election when the global attention is focused on the outcome of this election. Do you think that that was a calculated decision by the Pentagon?
Yes, because people have been preoccupied with the national presidential elections, where these issues were not discussed at all. The elections were characterized by personality conflicts, personal attacks, and charges of impropriety, and no real substantive discussions or debates took place in regard to U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East.
All right, Abayomi Azikiwe, always interesting to hear your thoughts. Glad to have you back on here. It's been a while, though, but glad to have you with us on RT International.